kunja bihari. Jarada Madhava kunja bihari. Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Jasodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana. Yasodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana. Jasodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana. Jamuna Tira Vanachari. Jamuna Tira Vanachari. Jarada Madhava kunja bihari. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Jayo Radha Krishna Chandra Radha Krishna Chandra Radhe.
Jaya Radha Krishna Chandra Radha Krishna Chandra Radhe.
Jayo Radha Krishna Chandra Radha Krishna Chandra Radhe.
Jaya Radha Krishna Chandra Radha Krishna Chandra Radhe.
Jayo Nitai Gauranga, Nitai Gauranga, Nitai Gauranga, Jayo Nitai Gauranga.
Jaya Nitai Gauranga, Nitai Gauranga, Nitai Gauranga, Jaya Nitai Gauranga.
Jayo Jayo Prabhupada, 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 Prabhupada.
Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Prabhupada.
Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajakacarya Prashad Shri Srimad Divine Grace Abhay Charan Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajakacarya Ashtotra Shri Srimad Divine Grace Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Goswami Srila Prabhupada Ki Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Narayanam Namaskrityam Naranchaiva Narotamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Mudiraye Nashtaprayeshvabhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam. third canto, 16th chapter, text number 19. Taranti hi anjasa mrityum nivritta yad anugraha yoginah sabhavan kim sve anugreyata yat parai. Taranti anjasa mrityum nivritta yad anugraha yoginah sabhavan kim sve anugreyeta yat parai. Taranti anjasa mrityum nivritta yad anugraha yoginah sabhavan kim sve anugreyeta yat parai. What word meaning? Taranti, crossover. Because. Anjasa, easily. Mrityam, birth and death. Nivrittaha, ceasing all material desires. Yat, your. Anugraha, by mercy. Yoginaha, transcendentalists. Saha, the Supreme Lord. Bhavan, you. Kim Svet, never possible. Anugriyeta, may be favored. Yad, which. Parai, by others. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Translation. Mystics and transcendentalists, by the mercy of the Lord, cross beyond nations by ceasing all material desires. It is not possible, therefore, that the Supreme Lord can be favored by others. Please repeat the translation. Mystics and transcendentalists, by the mercy of the Lord, cross beyond nations by ceasing all material desires. It is not possible, therefore, that the Supreme Lord can be favored by others. Purport. Jai Shri Radha Krishna Chandra Shri Nitai Gauranga Ki Jai Shri Prabhupada. Unless one is favored by the Supreme Lord, one cannot cross over the ocean of the nescience of repeated birth and death. Here it is stated that yogis or mystics cross beyond nescience by the mercy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. There are many kinds of mystics, such as the Karma Yogi, Jnana Yogi, Dhyana Yogi and Bhakti Yogi. The Karmis particularly search after the favor of the demigods. The Jnani is one to become one with the Supreme Absolute Truth, and the yogis are satisfied simply by partial vision of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Paramatma, and ultimately by oneness with Him. But the bhaktas, the devotees, want to associate with the Supreme Personality of Godhead eternally and serve Him. It has already been admitted that the Lord is eternal, and those who want the favor of the Supreme Lord perpetually are also eternal. Therefore, yogis here means devotees. By the mercy of the Lord, devotees can easily pass beyond the niscience of birth and death and attain the eternal abode of the Lord. The Lord is therefore not in need of another's favors, because no one is equal to or greater than Him. Actually, everyone needs the favor of the Lord for successful understanding of His human mission. Thus ends the Bhakti Vedanta purport. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Nitinamine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Taranti hi anjasa mrityum nivritta yad anugrahat yoginah sabhavan kim svid anugreyayata yat parei. Mystics and transcendentalists, by the mercy of the Lord, cross beyond nescience by ceasing all material desires. It is not possible, therefore, that the Supreme Lord can be favored by others. So, the supremacy of the personality of Godhead is being mentioned here by the four Kumaras addressing the Supreme Lord. Living entities forget that they are servant of the Lord. As mentioned in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Ekala Ishvara Krishna Hara Sabha Bhritya. There is only one controller, one supreme controller, and that is Krishna, and all the others are actually servants. So living entities are forgetful of this hierarchy, and under the influence of the external energy, living entities think, assume that either they or their concocted thinking makes them believe somebody else can be manufactured into being the supreme controller. This we can see in the material world, especially in Kali Yuga. There are so many gods, goddesses, and each of those goddesses, followers claiming that their gods and goddesses are the supreme personalities. And when we ask them, and we talk to them, and we tell them that Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead, immediately they will say, why only your Krishna? Why can't everybody be personality? How are you so sure? So, that is the material nature. In the material world, everybody are servants, but yet, because of the envious nature that is there within the living entity, they don't want to accept that there is somebody superior to them. That is coming out of envy. When you see that somebody is better than you, but still you try to minimize that person, find some way to find some defect and minimize that person. So this is the envious nature. Whereas pure devotees they are bereft of all these lower conditioned natures. Only when you are completely free from a conditioned mentality can you see things properly. Otherwise you cannot see. Many times we say, oh, Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But our saying remains only a saying. Within us we don't have that faith. We tell many things. Like we say, there is the said and the unsaid. Said is what? What you have told, what I have heard from you. But what is the unsaid? What is there in you? What is there within you? So, actually there should not be difference between what is there within you and what you have said externally. But when you are conditioned, when you are not pure, what you have said and what is there within you or what is unsaid, there is difference. So this is duplicitous behavior. Which means you are a pretender. You are not what you are, what you project yourself to be. So, when this situation is there, then what happens is, within you there are conflicts. Within us there will be conflicts. And that conflict will not allow us to be peaceful. It will always agitate us. Whereas a pure devotee is very peaceful because there is no conflict between the said and the unsaid. Brahma bhuta prasannatma na shochati na kankshati. One who is situated in the Brahman, one who is completely pure, he is prasannatma. Is prasanna means what? Prasanna means completely transcendental. And that transcendental state is the most peaceful state. Why he is in transcendence? Because there is no conflict between what he says and what he feels and what he thinks. Everything is one there. There is no double personality or multiple personalities. In the Kali Yuga, like when we say Ravana had 10 heads, right? That means his mind is going everywhere. Like Krishna in the third chapter says, Bhaushaka Anantyasta. Huh? Bhaushaka Anant. If you have your intelligence in different ways, then it becomes very difficult. You cannot focus on anything. व्यवसायात्मिका बुद्धिर एकेह कुरुनंदना बहुशाखाय अनंताश्च बुद्धयो व्यवसायिनाम. Those who are on this path are resolute in purpose and their aim is one. O beloved child of the Kurus, the intelligence of those who are irresolute is many branched. You see, whose aim is one. Your aim will not be one if you are thinking and speaking differently. You are thinking something but you are speaking something. You cannot be resolute. Your aim will be different. So, the purity of our thought is established when there is no duality in thinking and doing, in feeling and doing. But in the material world, we are feeling differently, talking differently. Just like I was giving the example, Narada is having 10 heads. He's a Rakshasa. Rakshasas have multiple heads. That's what they say. Rakshasas will have multiple heads. So in Treta Yuga, Ravana was there, he had 10 heads. In Kali Yuga, we have hundreds of heads, thousands of heads. Because so many different personalities we have. You know. In psychiatrists, they say, what is that called? Dual. What is that called? Dual personality. What is that syndrome called? Huh? Multiple personality. Something they call that. One word I'm forgetting. So actually it's not dual, multiple. It is innumerable personalities we have in Kali Yuga. Because why it is like that? Because of unlimited material desires, unlimited envy. We have developed various different varieties of personalities. So we have to break this very big asuri gun in ourselves. So every time we have to keep reinforcing within ourselves. I am not the controller, Krishna is the controller. I am not all pervading, Krishna is all pervading. I am not Ishvara, Krishna is the Ishvara. I am the servant of Krishna, not only servant, I am servant of the servant of Krishna. This kind of a consciousness we must be able to develop. So in this particular verse, the four Kumaras are telling that, dear Lord, because the Lord is, in the previous verses, the Lord actually mentions about the glories of the four Kumaras. And when the Lord is mentioning the glories of the four Kumaras, He says, because of you people only, like many things He says. So now when the Kumaras are speaking, they're saying, no, it's not because of us. It's everything because of you. Everything has come about by you. Nothing is by us. See, this is the transcendental relationship of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The Lord is Supreme Lord. Yet the Supreme Lord is saying to the Kumaras that, hey, you people are so great. I am nothing. My mistake. That the two doorkeepers have offended you. Like this, the Lord is taking a very junior position to the four Kumaras, whereas the Lord is the supreme controller. So, actually, in a spiritual relationship, if you see, in one way, the senior junior also is not there in that context. Although it is very much established, the senior and junior part, but yet the Lord is transcending those barriers of a senior and junior and behaving very much like a junior. The Lord enjoys that. Lord enjoys that kind of a feeling with His devotees. Like for example, in the Bhagavatam, in the 9th chapter, it says, Sadhavo hridayam mayyam sadhunam hridayam tvam aham anyate janatanaham tebyo managapi. He says, Sadhavo hridayam mayyam sadhunam hridanam mayi. I am present in the sadhu's heart and they are present in my heart. You see, it's very mutual. We sing the Jiva Goswami song, Krishna Prema Mayi Radha, Radha Prema Mayo Hari. They are both interconnected. They are both entwined. You cannot separate the devotee and the Lord. Whether in the transcendental plane, whether it is on a loving platform, whether it is on a anger platform, whether it is in a motherly Vatsalya platform, whether it is in a Dasya platform, they are completely entwined. They are together like this. They are bound with each other. They are not separate. They have their identities, but yet they are together. They can never become separate. As soon as they become separate, then both feel the pain. The Lord feels the pain. When the living entity becomes independent and goes away from the association of the Lord, definitely the person who has gone away from the Lord will definitely feel miserable. But the Lord also feels miserable because he misses He is Amsha. After all, the living entity is the Amsha of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So when the Amsha separates, then the Lord also feels the same kind of a pain. And the Lord is anchoring that this living entity comes back. And the Lord accompanies the living entity as Paramatma and stays with that living entity, accompanies that living entity, trying to guide that living entity back into his original position. So that is the generosity of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He is so generous. Although somebody is an offender, the Lord still does not abandon him. The Lord could have well told, "Arey, you are going, leave it. Why should I break my head?" No, the Lord actually accompanies. Vaishnava has got the similar trait within him. Just like Prabhupada says in his Transcendental Diary, that I was living very happily in Vrindavan. I was living very happily in Vrindavan. Prabhupada was very happy, enjoying the spiritual climate, the spiritual atmosphere of Vrindavan, which was very, very favorable for his bhajana. Prabhupada nicely was engaging in bhajana kriya by chanting Krishna's name, by writing books. In every way, Prabhupada was very, very fully engaged in Krishna conscious activities. And Prabhupada was relishing those moments, staying in the Radha Damodar temple next to Rupa Goswami's Samadhi. Everything was going well. But what is a Vaishnava's nature? Paradukka dukkihi. He feels the dukkha of living entity. And what is the real dukkha of the living entity? Dukkha of the living entity is material existence. Real dukkha of a living entity is material existence. Sometimes people come to us and tell us their dukkha. Prabhu, this is happening, that is happening, please help me solve this problem. Actually, solving that problem will not help him solve his dukkha. Because if he really wants to solve his problems, he has to solve his existential problem, which is material in nature. As long as he exists in this material world, he is going to suffer. But the living entity, because of ignorance, he thinks his material, solving his material problem will solve his material existential problem. No, that is not going to happen. That is only going to be a temporary solution. It's not going to give you any lasting solution. So Prabhupada's thinking, a Vaishnava, a pure devotee's thinking is like that. So although Prabhupada was situated very, very in a happy, in spiritual terms, Prabhupada was very happy living there. But yet Prabhupada was concerned for the feelings of the lost living entities in material existence. So Srila Prabhupada took up this very hard journey of going to the West, preaching to people who are completely sinful people, hard-headed people like the Westerners. It's so difficult. Yet Prabhupada took up this task of taking Krishna consciousness and instilling the Shraddha, the faith, in planting the Bhakti creeper to such kind of lost souls. So that is the magnanimity of a pure devotee. And this magnanimity of the pure devotee is actually coming from the Lord. It is not even that person's. Because the Lord is showing that magnanimity, the devotee has that magnanimity. They are like in this verse that is being mentioned here. How is the Lord? The Lord is so magnanimous because the Lord is accompanying you as Paramatma in this material world. Material world is a very, very unhappy place. The Lord is Vaikuntapati. He can happily be in Vaikunta. Why should he come to this material world? The Lord has not chosen to come to the material world. It is the living entity who has chosen to come to this material world. The living entity has wanted to be here. It was his choice. But the Lord is magnanimous. Even though the living entity made the choice, the Lord says, no problem, I will still come with you. I will still join you. That's the Lord magnanimity. Just like the same principle applies. Like for example, Bilvamangal Thakur. Because Bilvamangal Thakur's in his previous life, he had to appear as Chintamani to liberate his disciple who had lost his way in spiritual life. So, spiritual master like Bilvamangal Thakur, a spiritual teacher, Chintamani, took a form of a prostitute to teach certain lesson to Bilvamangal Thakur. So, as we must all remember this. When we are becoming devotees, and especially when we are full-time devotees in the Krishna consciousness movement, we must not be petty. We must be very, very large-hearted. Oh, I didn't get this. This is not available here. He did like this. He talked to me like this. He did that. We are making non-issues an issue. If you see how, from which position the Supreme Personality of Godhead has come, how our Acharyas, how Vaishnavas have engaged, in spite of they being situated in such elevated places, they are willing to come down from their position for the purpose of preaching, for the purpose of guiding lost souls. So we must also introspect. Sometimes we think, oh Prabhu, I gave full time, I left my house, I left this, I did a temple, and what is this? This also I am not going to get. This also I have been treated like this. Arre, what is the big deal? It is no big deal. So what? I am not allowed to sleep little more. I am not allowed to eat little more. I am not allowed to talk to anybody. No. Every angle. What is all these things? What are all these minor difficulties in our life? Can we not accept those kind of things? Actually, why we do that? Why we behave like that? Because we are spiritually empty. Like we say, no, in English there is a saying, empty vessels make more noise. The real reason is empty vessels make more noise. Empty in what sense? In a Krishna consciousness sense. That means, in terms of Krishna consciousness, we are empty. We don't have that Krishna conscious stuff within us. So we make noise. Oh, this is not okay, that is not okay, I am doing like this. No. Let us understand the perspective properly. The level, the depth of how, where, and when our acharyas, the Supreme Lord, how they have delved and what is our level. So, this kind of, when we read the Srimad Bhagavatam, we must introspect. What is the significance of this kind of verses? The relationship aspect between the Lord and his devotee, in lot of things are there in a Vaishnava Samoha, how to look at things properly. Okay, we'll stop here. If there's any question, comments. ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की, श्रील प्रभुपाद की.